else for women. You be feeling like your predicament somewhat hypocritic. I mean, if I ain't got it, how in the world I'ma tell you to get it? See, but we all play a part, baby, we all different. You just gotta decide what you gonna do with what you've been given. See, I learned that being humble show don't mean timid. And I learned that if you stumble, you can still finish. See, you ain't got to hide behind nobody, stop pretending. If you really want it, then get off your behind and get it. So what if they don't see it? That don't mean he ain't give you vision. Shoot, I made them haters lemonade.
Come on in, y'all. Got a good one today.
Beautiful, baby.
What's up, Roland Jack?
Differently, I wonder can they create it. You finally me for real.
Hey.
Walking in my purpose, it's good to be free for real. Knowing that all things they are working, I finally see myself. I know that I am worth it. I ain't even scratched the surface. He be blessing me on purpose. Finally, I begin to try to convince her work was irrelevant, but God defends her. Yeah, so my good outweighs my bad days. He knows the
Let's go. It's Friday.
I won't let nothing get in my way. Hey, I gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Gotta go get it, gotta go get it, yeah. Finally, what's it? Finally, me for real. Finally, yeah. Finally, me for real. I can go get it. Finally, get it. I can go get it. Finally, me for real.
Well, hey everybody, it's finally me for real on Friday. Finally me for real on Friday. Let's come on in this space. Hey, shut the job down. It's Friday. It's finally me for real on Friday. Tell your boss I'll see you on Monday. But come on in. Finally me for real is a movement. Come on, give it back to me. It's a movement where out of 7 days of the week, you're supposed to at least take 1 day for yourself. Hello, somebody. Finally me for real, all about you. It's making sure that you're spending some time with yourself. So we do it on Friday. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. I'm excited. Let me know. And don't forget to use the hashtag FM, the number 4 real. FM, the number 4 real. It's on the screen. That's the hashtag we want to use on Facebook. We want to use on IG and on YouTube. And by the way, yes, we are on YouTube. We on Facebook. We on IG. And don't tell anybody, but I'm even on TikTok. Yeah, for real. I'm on TikTok. So you can find me wherever you are. Tampa, Florida, good to see you. All right, good to see you in the house. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. Good to see you. All right, South Africa. Okay, great. South Africa is in the house. Just let me know where you guys are checking in. And do me a favor, guys. Hey, Orlando, Florida, Connecticut, New Jersey, what's up? Tux and Caicos, man, I love that place. That's the first place I took Cam and Chloe. South Carolina, what's up? All right, DC is in the house. Georgia, the Ukraine. I've never been to the Ukraine. Wow, the Ukraine is in the house. Richmond, Virginia. Wow, thank Trinidad. Hello. Red, white, and Black. Trinidad is in the house. Thank y'all so very much. If you can find your country flag, just put your flag out there. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Hey, listen, before we get in, I'm excited about my guest and the topic today. But before we do, I believe, let me make sure I'm positive. Today is 9/11, and so we know what happened 9/11 many years ago. So we want to take a second of silence to just remember 9/11. So everybody do me a favor and just go ahead and put it in the chat. 9/11, 9/11. Yeah, 9/11. I don't know about anybody. I know exactly where I was on 9/11 when those planes hit those towers and lives were lost. So we continue to remember and pray for those who've lost loved one and friends and family. And our lives have never been the same after 9/11. Remember, now we have to when we go to the airport, we have to take our shoes off, we have to search. And 2020 is going to be one of those time again that after 2020, mask is going to be like part of the whole thing. So thank you all so very much for honoring 9/11 on today. All right. And of course, I wasn't on last week, but my goodness, Black Panther has transitioned. And so, our hearts goes out to those who are in Hollywood and those who remembered him and what his movement has been. So it's been some difficult days, but hey, we're here and it's the month of September. It's a month to remember. And just a couple of brief announcements. My Finally Me for Real conference is coming up in October the 8th through the 10th. And did you guys know my conference is absolutely free? What did I say? Give it to me. My conference, my Finally Me for Real conference is absolutely free. There is the dates, October the 8th through the 11th. It's my birthday. It's my birthday weekend. I'm kicking off with my birthday on October the 8th. I'm having a virtual birthday party. That's right. Bring your own bottle in your own house. You're going to be fine. Because if you drink too much, you just got to make it to your bedroom. So you'll be good to go. But anyway, it's absolutely free. And I got Nona Jones from Facebook. She's a phenomenal speaker. Dr. Lynn Richardson is going to be talking about finance. Bishop Rosie O'Neill is with us. And then, oh my goodness, hold on. I got to get this sister. Okay, this sister is bad right here. Becoming a Brand. This is a book. All right, Becoming a Brand. All right, Natalie Nicole Smith. The sister is shocked. Natalie Nicole Smith is also one of my guest speaker. Leandra. Okay, Leandra is going to be singing. It's going to be off the chain. So mark your calendar. Now listen, it's absolutely free, but you got to register by the end of this month, because we're shutting it down. Now, over 2,000 of y'all have already registered already. So we might be shutting it down after this weekend. So you guys better hurry up and register for it. All right. Make sure I got all my now before. And don't forget to download my app and to follow me. All right. Subscribe to me on my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Jazz. Or my YouTube channel, Finally Me for Real. Pastor Jamal Bryan teases me. He says every time he sees me, I've got shades on. And I said, that's because my future is so bright, I need some shades. I'm messing with you guys. So this month is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Put it in there, Sickle Cell Awareness Month. This month is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And I can't even fully explain my journey of getting involved in sickle cell. All right, so that's what we're going to use. Put sickle cell. I see you, Detroit. God bless you, Detroit. Okay, so this month is Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and I wasn't too familiar with sickle cell. I never even heard of sickle cell for real. And maybe a couple of years ago, I really prayed about experiencing unconditional love. And the way God sent unconditional love to me is he sent these two little dumplings. Call them Cam and Chloe. I got a picture of them. Check out Cam and Chloe, y'all. Okay, do y'all see their picture? Oh my gosh, are they cute or what? There is Cam and there is Chloe. Those of you who are on IG, you don't see them, but you got to be on Facebook. There's Cam and Chloe. Look at Cam. Y'all see Cam? Look at Cam. All right, and they're 5 years of age. Okay, they're 5 years of age. Hi, Cam and Chloe. I heard they're watching. Hi, Cam and Chloe. All right. They even got Cam and Chloe have their own IG page. I set up their IG page. So make sure you follow them on IG, Cam and Chloe. And they came into our lives. And Brittany, I want to give a shout out to the mama, Brittany. And oh, your son has sickle cell also. Well, thanks for sharing that, because you're going to be getting some powerful information today. All right, so stay tuned. And if you know somebody who have sickle cell, tag somebody, text somebody, tell somebody coming in for the next 30 minutes. Just start a watch party for us. And thank you for sharing, Miss Chosen Pamela, that your son deal with sickle cell. So Cam and Chloe came into the world, and we found out that Cameron has sickle cell. And so, we started studying and learning about it. And every now and then he will have, I call it a sickle cell attack. Unbelievable pain, unbelievable pain. And this year, when he had one, I went into my instant message, my DM message, and I text this sister and I said, hey, is there anything I can do? And she shared with me some things that we can do, and just was so helpful. And after he came through the pain crisis, she checked back and said, hey, how is he doing? And I met this sister a couple of years ago. She's a game changer. She's a earth mover. She's from Houston, well, from other country, but used to live in Houston. Now she's in the DC area. Her name is pronounced Ijama. She's the founder and the CEO of both the Ruby Ball Foundation. The Ruby Ball. She's gonna tell us more about it. But she's passionate about sickle cell. She's gonna tell us how she battled it, how she deals with it. And so everybody in the Facebook land, let me just bring her on up in here. All right, all right, all right. All right, go ahead and give a shout out to her for me, everybody, while she come in. Hey, lady.
Hey, Dr. Jazz, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you so very much for being a part of this amazing conversation today of your time. And I don't know if you can see all of the stuff on Facebook, on IG, of people who are sharing, how they have family members with sickle cell. So thank you for having me. So in a nutshell, would you tell your story, because you also battle with sickle cell?
Yes. So basically, I've had sickle cell my entire life. I have a twin brother who also has sickle cell and a younger sister. So growing up, it wasn't something that we necessarily talked about in my household. So I didn't really know like how to maneuver or like what I was in. Whether I should know there was things that let me know that I was kind of different from the rest of like people my age, just in terms of like wanting to like run track and sometimes getting winded when I tried to run. And it's like, but at the same time, I didn't want people to see me as less than or different than. So I continued to push through and do things the same way that anybody else would do. And so like going through and growing up with sickle cell, I actually had a friend that I met in college who also had sickle cell, because I didn't know a lot of people with sickle cell. Actually, I didn't know anybody outside of my own family. And so with her, she helped me to better understand my battle with sickle cell and really become more aware and more open about it. But she passed away in 2017. And so when she passed away in 2017, that's when, and we were talking, actually, it was September. She had passed in October. So we actually talking about trying to become more bigger advocates and get more involved in trying to like spread awareness for sickle cell. And so she passed away in October, and I told myself with her passing, like, I need to become greater in terms of this, greater in terms of me allowing great focus on like sickle cell and getting more involved in advocacy and trying to like spread the word and let people know that you don't need to allow it to be a crutch, and it's not something that's going to make you different from anybody else. But then being able to share my life story and being able to share like I've been able to thrive and to continue to grow even through the pain. And so being able to let people see that from that perspective, that's where this all came about. And so that's what made me do the Ruby Ball, which I did in 2018. So I decided in 2017, I said, I have to move forward. I have to really do something to really bring awareness to this cause. And so I hosted a gala in Baltimore while I was living out the country. I was actually living in Central Africa at that time, but I hosted a gala in Baltimore where I was able to raise $10,000 for the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America. It had so many rave reviews, and everybody really learned a lot about sickle cell through that process. And so they wanted me to do it more and like continue to like move forward with that. And that's basically where the Ruby Ball Foundation came from, was from that action.
Wow. So, thank you for sharing that. And at the end, we will definitely get your information of how we can support your foundation. And so, thank you for sharing that with us. Um, Somebody said, unless you have sickle cell, you don't understand the pain.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about the pain? And if you have a device, just turn your device down a little. If you're so we don't have a Yep, turn your device down.
Okay. On my side.
Yep. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Uh,
Is that better?
yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Everybody can hear her now. Everybody can hear her now. Okay, fantastic. Okay, yeah. So the question is, in terms of pain, what it's a pain crisis that often takes place.
Yeah, so with a pain crisis, basically, just to give a little background for those who don't understand or don't know what sickle cell is, because like Dr. Jazz said herself, she was like, I didn't know what it was until my nephew ended up having sickle cell. So with that being said, a lot of people don't understand it. And so it's something that affects millions of people around the world and over hundreds of thousands of people within the United States itself. And so a lot of people don't understand it, and a lot of people don't know what it is. But sickle cell is basically, it's some of your blood cells are sickle shaped. And so sometimes those sickle shaped blood cells, which are sticky, get stuck in your blood vessels as the flow of blood is going through your body. And so with those sickle shaped cells getting stuck, it blocks the flow of blood and oxygen to get to certain parts of your body. And so if you don't have blood and oxygen flowing to a certain part of your body, that's where the pain crisis comes from. And so it can cause a debilitating pain to where sometimes you're not able to walk. Sometimes it may be in your arm. It comes in random places, and it could come at any moment, at any time. And so that's why they said if you don't live with sickle cell and you don't know what it is, then you don't understand. So people may not understand the severity of that pain that somebody may be dealing with. And not only does that block of blood and oxygen flowing through to certain parts of your body cause pain crisis, but it can cause organ damage as well, or organ failure. And so because you're not getting blood and oxygen to those particular organs within your body. So it's not just about the pain crisis, it's about some of the other complications that can come about from having sickle cell. So a lot of people too with sickle cell, they end up having pulmonary embolism. And so because they're getting blood clots because of this. And that's what happened to my friend that passed away in 2017, was that she passed away from pulmonary embolism or whatever, from the blood clots. And so you just have to be aware, and you just need to just do the things that you need to do for yourself in order to take precaution, because there's various things that can cause you to go into a pain crisis. But the issue is you never know when it's going to happen. So that's what makes it so hard.
Wow. And guys, thank y'all. Make sure again, let's use the hashtag finally me for real, but even sickle cell, as we're bringing sickle cell awareness, tag it. So you said that sometimes there's some things we can do to keep us from going into pain crisis. What are some of the things for those who may be dealing with it?
Yeah, so let's start by like talking about what some of the things that may cause a crisis may be. So like there are like 5 main things that can cause you to go into crisis, which would be dehydration, stress, high altitude, extreme change in temperature, and infection. And so the main things that you can probably try to control the most are the stress aspect of it and the dehydration aspect of it. So it's like staying hydrated, making sure that you're continuously taking in fluids, trying to do things to try to de-stress. We have good and we have bad stress, right? That happens in our lives. So just trying to do things to try to like clear your mind, meditate, different things like that, that can try to help with those aspects. And then just continually like staying in connection with like your hematologist, so that they can check your blood levels and check different things that may show like that you may be close into going into a crisis. So one of the things that a person with sickle cell can tell if they're about to have a crisis is the yellowing of the eye. So a lot of people with sickle cell have jaundice. And so if you're starting to if you're starting to get yellowing within your eyes, then you know that you're probably getting closer into having a pain crisis. So try to stay hydrated during those times in order to try to help you during that process.
Wow. Wow. First, somebody's asking, what are the five again? So give it to us one more time.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
everybody.
yeah, so some of the five things would be dehydration, stress, high altitude, um, infection, and what was the last? Extreme change in temperature.
Exchange. Wow. Wow. You know, it's so crazy. We took Cam and Chloe on a cruise, right? To the Disney cruise, and we flew them on a plane. And of course, he was fine going and then coming back. And after he came back home, he had a pain crisis, and we did not know. I think that's when I reached out to you about the altitude and how that
Yeah.
affects. But wow. Wow. But the thing that you said we can control is the stress and making sure that we are drinking a lot of liquid. I know water is number one. What is some liquid that you also drink?
My mom used to always force me to drink Gatorade growing up. So she like kept Gatorade and Powerade stocked up in the house when we were children. So those are things. And then like if it gets to that point, you know, you can always take like what is it, Pedialyte that they give to the kids, but this is like after you've already gotten dehydrated. But it's just in general like staying hydrated. And one of the things that I do is I actually, whenever I feel like myself feeling like drained or not really having any energy, I'll go to my hematologist and I'll go and get hydration treatments. And
Hmm.
so those hydration treatments will help in terms of me regaining my energy and me being able to like hydrate a little bit faster than I would if I was just sitting there drinking bottles of water.
Wow. Somebody has a powerful question, Ms. Glow. She said, are there strategies teachers can use if a child has a crisis in the classroom? What a great question.
Yeah, so I would say just the same thing. First of all, it's like just being understanding because I feel like that's the thing too. A lot of people don't understand sickle cell, and so because you don't understand sickle cell, you don't know how to react when somebody's having sickle cell. Like I've had friends, like we'd be out and they were like they wanted somebody to drive, and I was like I couldn't drive because I'm like I felt like because you could a crisis can come at any moment at any time, and it's like it could last a few minutes, it could last days, it could last weeks, right? A month. And so it's like I've had them be like, oh, you just don't want to drive. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay. So like really knowing like if a child that you know when your classroom is has sickle cell, like just being understanding of that. It's the temper. So a lot of stuff in terms of, like I said, extreme change in temperature. So as an adult, I've gone to like a conference before, and I was at the conference. You know, when you're, it was in Arizona actually, and so you know, like in conference rooms and stuff, it's freezing, freezing cold, and so it's like going from that freezing cold temperature and then going outside into the heat or whatever, like that was something that really like shocked my body. And so it's like I've started to like pay attention to certain things like that. So like when I'm in the office at work, I keep jackets. So people like will make fun at work sometimes because they're like, Ijama, like you act like it's summertime, it's not winter anymore. And so it's like I literally have my winter coat in the office to be able to like regulate the temperature on my own. And so that might be something more on the parent side, like making sure that the child has like a jacket or like has things to be able to like transition in terms of they're getting cold or if they're getting hot, because it can change at any moment. And then also giving the child the opportunity to be able to like go get some water, or, you know what I mean, do things to help regulate that part in terms of their stress.
Wow. Oh gosh. One of the most painful things for me, and my sister is on, and hey Cam and Chloe, is when Cam has a pain crisis, he asks why.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and he's fine,
That's
you
something.
ask why. Did you ever wrestle with that question, and how did you come to peace with it?
Yeah, no, that's a big one because it's like you wonder, like, okay, why, like God, why me, right? Like, why is this happening to me? But then it's like understanding, like God doesn't put more on you than you can bear, right? And so it's like I've come to the point where I feel like sickle cell is not a weakness for me; it's a part of my strength. It's a part of my story. It's a part of who I am, right? And so really being able to share that, and then that's part of me wanting to have this platform so that people can see me, because like you wonder, people are like, what does sickle cell look like? Sickle cell doesn't have a face. It doesn't look like anything. You know what I mean? And so it's like being able to show like there are people that are living full like lives and still thriving even with the illness. And so being able to do that, I feel like that's what's been able to move me and been able to drive me, is knowing that I'm making a difference, that I'm inspiring others. And I feel like that's what keeps me motivated. I know, like, growing up too, like my sister, she had a crisis. She missed her prom. And so I felt so bad because I like bought her like prom dress and everything. And so she was like in the hospital, and I kept like being like, you'll be fine. Like, you'll get out before prom comes and goes. And she still didn't end up making it because she was still in the hospital. But it's like those things happen sometimes. And so like the biggest thing though for sickle cell is like, it's not just about the pain crisis, you know, and some of the organs, but it does also affect you emotionally and mentally, because you wonder like why you're dealing with certain things that other people are dealing with and that other people don't understand. And then also you don't want people to see you as less than or weaker than. And so because you're trying to like struggle and battle through those things, and you're trying to also like make sure that you're still good and you're still healthy, it ends up taking a toll on you as well. So just being able to understand that God is God throughout, and like he would never given you this problem if he didn't feel that you could push through and get through that. And just knowing that it's a part of your story and that it's going to be able to strengthen you and make you a stronger and better person in the end.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I see you guys sending up all the hearts, sending your jammers some love. People to ask some questions. You can also share some comments. So, what kind of food do you eat? Or what,
What kind? I'm the worst person to ask about food because I eat everything. But no,
I
I
think
love
I've
food.
seen you do that on. I said she's eating everything.
I eat everything, but it is good to like pay attention to like your diet and like some of the things. Like I know like some people were talking to me about like juicing. Like juicing is really good, and like identifying different types of juices that can like work in terms of like your blood, that may be good for your blood. I'm not the right person to ask about stuff like that because like I said, I eat what I feel like eating. I don't eat bad. So I'm not even going to say that. So that's another thing. I don't eat bad. So like I might have like a burger like once every 6 months or something. So normally I eat regularly. But the thing that you need to make sure to do, that you are eating, you know what I mean, in terms of energy. Because I know like sometimes as people, because we're working, we're busy, we may forget to eat, right? So it's just
Right.
like making sure that you have a healthy diet, that you're continuing to eat, because you need all the energy that you can get when you're dealing with this. So just being mindful of that.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm having this conversation with this wonderful young lady, Ijama, who is showing us what to overcome sickle cell look like. And I brought her on because I really want Cam, and I know Cam and Chloe, to
Hi,
see
Cam.
her. Yeah, he's an amazing young man. He's 5 years of age, and Chloe's 5 also. And for those of you who may be battling, have a child, or you may be battling with sickle cell, and I love the fact that you have a holistic life. So tell them, what do you do besides just talk about sickle cell? What do you do? What are some of your hobbies? Let's talk about you, because sickle cell does not have control over you.
Exactly. It does not have control over me. And so I love to travel. So clearly, because of COVID, I haven't been able to really travel and get up and get out as much. But that's one of my like main things in terms of hobbies, like exploring and seeing the world. And so even though I told you like high altitude is one of those things that may cause a
Yeah.
crisis, God has like truly blessed me. And so that's the thing, is like you can't limit yourself. And so that goes back, and that's the main thing that I would tell anybody that's living with sickle cell, or that may have a sibling or may have a child that's living with sickle cell. You can't allow it to define who they are, and you can't allow it to be a crutch for their lives. You have to allow them to be who they are and live their lives. Because that's the only way that they'll be able to thrive and that they'll be able to survive. And so even like, I'll give an example how I told you I was recently in 2018 or whatever, 2017, I lived out of the country. So I went on a project for work out in Central Africa in Gabon. And so a lot of people was like, you can't leave, like you can't go because you don't know like what the healthcare and stuff is out there. That
Wow.
you need to, you know what I mean? Like you need to stay in the US and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I can't limit myself, you know what I mean? And so I went ahead and I took the job. And by God's grace, the first year that I was out there, I did not have one crisis at all. The first crisis that I had wasn't until I got back in the US, like I was visiting home, and that's when I ended up having a crisis. So that was only by God's grace. I did, however, end up having a crisis right before I ended up having, which is the reason I had to come back into the country. I had a crisis when I was 15 months into being out there, and it was actually a really severe crisis. I had to get life flighted to South Africa, but that's a whole nother story in itself.
Wow.
But I'm still here. So at the end
Yes.
of the day,
Yes.
I'm still here. And I'm like, I'm thankful for that experience that I had, being able to live outside of the country, see things from a different perspective, see things through a different lens, so that I can be able to share those stories with others, and that I can be able to share that stories with my family. So that's the biggest thing, is just continuing to just live your life no matter what. So
Wow. Oh my gosh. As I'm hearing you, it makes me just appreciate Cam and those who are battling with sickle cell. For those of us, I think we need like a sickle cell support group, because now I'm the worst person to be when he have a crisis, because I'm picking him up and I'm putting him in the car and I'm heading straight to the hospital. And when I show up like Rambo, take care of him. And Brittany's like Auntie Jazzy, every pain crisis does not require that you go to the hospital. He just has to work through it.
yeah. And
You
that's it.
know,
Yeah. And you have to work through it, because that's the thing. It's like you have to get to a point where you better understand like how to work, because you can't go to the hospital every single time. So like I said, like there's been times I had crisis and I was taking, so even with me being in Gabon before I ended up finally going to the hospital, like before I even got there, I'm like, I made sure I had all the medication that I needed or whatever, in terms of like pain medicine, like I had the heating pads, I had everything, so that I can try to do what I can do on my own, and I don't go to the hospital. The only time I end up going to the hospital if it's like it gets to the point to where I can't take care of it myself and I need stronger pain medicine. So that's when I would go, but I try to do everything that I can to mitigate it myself. There was one question I saw in the chat, or not necessarily a question, it was a comment, which is true. It was somebody, Sha Glover, and it said, "Thank you. Unfortunately, we've had students with sickle cell and parents don't inform us. And so thank you for this conversation." And so that's very true. And so I feel like that was the thing, like with my mom, like growing up, it's things that people don't want to talk about because they feel there's a stigma behind it, right? And so people don't
right.
understand it. So because if you don't understand something, you don't know how to deal with it. And so it makes people that are living with it, or people that may have children that may have it, feel like it's a negative thing. And it's like you can't go through life thinking that way. And so if we start becoming more open and becoming more active in terms of talking and speaking about it, then people become more understanding about it, because it's not like AIDS where it's contagious and you can catch it. It's something that it's hereditary, right?
Right.
Both of your parents have to have the traits in order. It's just the same way as eye color. Like it's how you get your eye color. It's like how you get your hair color. It's how you get your skin color. So it's based off of the traits of the parents, and so them passing it off to their child. So one of the things that I would say is that I would say that everybody should get
Mm.
tested for the sickle cell traits. That's a big
Yeah.
thing, because I feel like people don't know these things. And so you end up marrying somebody, or you end up getting in a relationship with somebody not knowing that they also have the trait. And so the trait is a big thing for people to like really consider and to think about. And so if you get tested for the trait, you know ahead of time whether or not it's possible for your child to also have it. But it's if both parents have the trait. If one parent has the trait, then you can pass on the trait to the child, but they won't get sickle cell. So it's like really paying attention to those things. So I think that everybody should be aware of their trait status in terms of sickle cell.
Really?
Yeah.
I never even thought of that. What, guys, give me some comments on that. And while you're doing that, as you were talking, I thought about John chapter 9, verse 2, where the disciple says, when they had this little boy who was sick, who sinned? Whose fault is it? Is it the mother or is it the father? And Jesus said, it's neither. It's
Yeah.
so that the works of God might be manifested in him.
Yeah.
And we have to come to a point where it's not Brittany's fault. It's not the father's fault. This is the works of God is going to be manifested in his life. And I don't know about anybody. Everybody I know who have sickle cell has something special on them. They have this
Yeah.
special gift. It's something. I can't play the video now. I have to play this video of Cam. He wakes up in the morning and he's studying medicine. Now he's 5, Ijama.
Oh,
He's
wow.
on YouTube studying what injection is, and I'm like, I'm gonna play the video on the thing. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm gonna find a cure for sickle cell. He's
Oh,
gonna
that's
He's
great.
going to find a cure for sickle. You guys, you can send in your questions and everything. So tell us about the Ruby Ball. While I bring this one up,
Oh no,
tell
that's
us about.
great. Yeah, I'll definitely share the rebound. When you were just saying that about Cam, we had a guest on our podcast, one of our first guests. she actually wrote a book for children to help them better understand sickle cell. So it's called Super Cells. And so it's
Super cells.
Super Cells. And so it's
Wow.
basically about a superhero who has sickle cell and like getting through that. And so it helps them to be able to better understand what sickle cell is, how they're dealing with it, understand the terminology. So, because that's another thing, like understanding the terminology so that you can talk to your doctor. So, if anybody that has younger kids out there, definitely check out the book. It's called Super Cells.
Super cell. We
Yeah.
gotta get,
But
as soon as you say that, it's so crazy because Cameron loves superheroes.
yeah.
He calls himself a transformer.
Yeah, so definitely check that book out for him. I'll send it over to you, Dr. Jazz, but that would be great. But yeah, just going back into the Ruby Ball. So as I stated earlier, the Ruby Ball came about after a friend of mine passed away in 2017, and so I told myself that I've always wanted to do something. So even I'm an event planner as well. So outside of my corporate job, my corporate job is organizational development. So I work for an oil and gas and construction company doing that. But then I also do event planning. So the name of my event planning company is Ijama Ezene Collective. And so I wanted to do something to share my gifts. And so like use my gift in order to like make a difference and like give back to the community and really like help sickle cell. So before, what I was doing in the beginning was through my event planning company, like any portions of proceeds that I got from like doing somebody's event, I would give a portion of that to sickle cell charity. And so with this, I was like, okay, what is something that I can do to be impactful? I'm like, I've always said I wanted to like host a gala for sickle cell, but it's like I never like pushed through with it. I was just like, okay, but after this, like I have to do this, right?
Wow.
And so I decided to go ahead and start planning planning the gala. I connected with the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America because I was looking, because I'm like, I didn't want to start my own foundation. I just wanted to be that connecting force between the various sickle cell communities and the various sickle cell organizations so that we can have a unified front. Because I feel that when it comes to other causes and other issues, they that don't look like us, there's more support, right? And so there's also more
Yeah.
unity. So it's like everybody knows when you hear about the walk or whatever for breast cancer, everybody knows what that is. You know, everybody knows about the Tujinji Common Walk, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted the Ruby Ball to be. I wanted to have this event or this gala that everybody connected back to sickle cell awareness. And so I hosted this ball. I wanted to give 100% of the proceeds to a charity. Ended up connecting with the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, and it had so many rave reviews. Like, I wish I'd share the video. If y'all go to my Instagram, the video is actually on there. It's the Ruby Ball on Instagram, so you can see like some of the images and some of the things from that gala. But there were a lot of people there too that didn't know what sickle cell was. That didn't really have an understanding of it. But Dr. Efi, our most recent podcast guest, was our keynote speaker. And so she was able to really break it down for people and really like give them a better understanding of what it was, how it affected people. And then we also had another young lady on there who's a model and a nurse. Her name is Bethany Chaston. And so she was able to show sickle cell doesn't have a face. And so she talked through how she's like been thriving, living her life, going around the world, doing various things. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do with the Ruby Ball, was to show a different face of sickle cell. I didn't want to be like, okay, in the hospital with the IV in your arm, like
Wow.
sick and deathly. I wanted people to see it from a place of hope, a place of inspiration. And so I also wanted to be able to share something for those individuals that don't know anything about it so that they have a better sense of awareness on terms of what it is. And so I felt that that's what came out of it. And so with that, everybody's like, when's the next Ruby Ball? When is it going to happen? And so that's basically where the Ruby Ball Foundation came from, is to just keep it going. Because it was supposed to be for me, it was just going to be a one-time thing. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, it was a lot of work, especially doing it from out of the country. But everybody was so, like, it had so much support. And so with that, we were supposed to host one this year, but because of COVID, we had to postpone that. But instead, we decided to start a podcast, which is called Silence. And so you can find the silent pod. Yes, silence. Exactly. Because it's a silent killer. And so it's like my purpose is to be able to help the silenced voices of sickle cell. And so by sharing different stories, by talking to different people, we want to be able to break that silence. And so that's where the name of the podcast came from. And so we decided to do a podcast this year so that we continue to spread awareness and that we can continue to share different stories, not just for people that are living with sickle cell, but to inspire people that aren't living with the disease either, so that they can know that they can still push past their issues, push past their pain in order to get to where God has called them to be. So.
Wow. And I see all of your questions. Ijama, you remember the author of the book? So we're going to take some questions. You guys can send your questions. Do you
Yes,
remember the author of the book?
it's
And then
Princess. Yeah, let me
Mhm.
get you her thing. Let me go on my Instagram real fast and I'm going to give you her name real fast.
Okay. All right. Don't worry.
It's
Take your time.
Princess.
And is this
So
how
it's Princess,
Princess?
Princess_Fresh C is her name on Instagram. So the
Okay.
author of the book, Super Cells, let me tell you what is on there. And then if you go on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, the Instagram for the book is Super Cells Book.
Mm-hmm.
So Super Cells Book is the name of her Instagram, and you can go on there to get the book. And then the author of the book, if you're trying to find it, is Princess Shariqua. I need to spell her last name, but I think the best way to get it is just go on her Instagram. Go to
Got
the
it.
Instagram Super Cells Book on
Yeah.
Instagram, and that's how you should be able to find it.
Fantastic. So if people want to support the Ruby or support your foundation or your movement or your awareness, how can they go about doing it?
So our website, you can go on and donate, therubyball.org. So that's the website, Ruby, RUBY, ball, BALL.org. You can find us on Instagram at the same name, The Ruby Ball. And so we're actually, if you're in the Houston area, what would be great, we're having a blood drive next week, Friday. So if you're able to go, because that's another thing, I was talking to the American Red Cross, we're doing it in connection with the American Red Cross. People with sickle cell, they need blood, right? And so it's a serious blood shortage. I was talking to them, they said they have about 183,000 patients that need blood. And ever since, especially now with everything going on with COVID, they don't have a lot of people that have been coming in to give blood. So it's still very, very safe to give blood during this time. And so there's been a very large shortage. And then also understanding, like when it comes to giving blood, we need blood from people that look like you, right? Because it's easier to match the blood type. And so they're down, like they said, about 60% of African Americans that were giving blood prior to COVID, they're down by that amount. And so those 183,000 people that need the blood within the area, they're not able to give that to them. So if you are in the Houston area, and you're able to give blood, it would be great if you can go register on therubyball.org for the blood drive. It's next week, Friday, in Houston at the American Red Cross in Houston off of Southwest Freeway from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah, and guys, even if if you're not in Houston, let's post it because you know somebody in Houston.
Yeah, please
So
share.
if you're not there, let's do that. Tag, text, tell somebody. We talk about everything else. Let's talk about something that's really worth talking about. So even if you're not in Houston, would you share it with somebody?
Please do.
And
Because
let
I'm not in Houston. I'm actually in the DMV area, like Dr. Jazz said.
Yeah.
But we're hosting it out there. So we have a really big support system out there. So that would be great. But the one thing that y'all can do, like I said, if you can go follow the Ruby Ball on Instagram, go get some facts that we have in order to share about sickle cell. If you can share that with your friends, share that with everybody, because it's something that we need to all come together and show support. Like I said, it affects millions of people around the world. And it's sad that a lot of people really don't know about it. Even when I was in South Africa, when I told you I was in the hospital, the doctor in South Africa was like that they didn't really know about it and they didn't really understand it. And I'm just like, for it to be in the medical community that they still don't know. And so it's something that I feel like we really need to get the voice out there because it affects so many people. And it's not just African Americans. That's another thing too. It's, people feel that it's something that solely affects African Americans, but it also affects people within the Mediterranean. So a lot of people within South America, a lot of people in the Middle East, they also deal with sickle cell as well. And so we just need to start spreading the word and get people to better understand what it is and how to deal with it and what we can do in order to move forward. So
Wow. Okay, guys, we got a few minutes. You can shoot your question to Ijama. I don't know about anybody else, but I mean, this is one of the best um,
Oh.
30 minutes I have spent because I'm so aware of it, want to be so aware of it. So there's no cure for sickle cell, is there, Ijama?
Yeah, so there's no universal cure for sickle cell. So people say, so meaning when I say universal, meaning there's not one cure that works for everybody. So there's been stem cell transplants that work for some people. So that's been a thing that's been out there that people have talked about. But one of the things with that is like you have to have a family member that, you know what I mean, that can donate to you, right? And so you have to also make sure that it's something that that takes for you as well. So it's like those are some things. So it's like there's nothing that's a universal cure that exists out there that you know it's going to work for everybody. It depended on what your doctor says. There are medications that can try to limit your crisis. So there's been medications that's been put out there. So that's why it's good to have this research and to be able to show support and to donate so that there could be more in terms of medical research around sickle cell and ways to combat sickle cell and ways to try to mitigate some of the issues around it.
Yeah, we connected with Be the Match. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with Be the Match
Yes.
Foundation? Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. So it's like getting out. And so the bone marrow, all of that blood, like giving blood, like all of that stuff is very, very important. So anything that you can do, if you're not able to donate blood, because I know there's different stipulations in terms of donating blood, you can support by just sharing, like spreading the word. You can support by going and getting tested. Like go and find out if you have the trait. So I feel like that's something that's definitely important for people to go out and do. I feel like another thing that we can try to do in terms of trying to like support or try to help is just again being understanding and knowing if somebody says that they're in pain, that's something that you need to be able to think about and you know what I mean, like be compassionate about it from that perspective. So there's so many things that I can talk about from healthcare. Check out the podcast Silent. The most recent episode that we had with Dr. Efi will give you a lot of insight from
Oh,
how
I
it is being a medical care provider to patients with sickle cell, how it is as being a patient going into the hospitals and them feeling because you're African American that you're a drug addict and like, because that's the only thing, like you
mm,
can't really get through a pain crisis or whatever without pain medicine. And so, and
mm,
then it also gets to a point, like for example, me, I'm immune to a lot of different stuff in terms of like pain medication. So a lot of things don't work for me because I've been taking pain medicine my entire life. Right. And so
wow.
like if you're dealing with the pain, the only way to get through a pain crisis is just for it to like pass. Right. And so like having an understanding for that. And so like the way that some of the things that we talk about on that podcast with Dr. Efi is like the empathy in terms of like being a medical provider and like some of the things that were talked about in terms of, I know like there was something that was put out there from CNN where it talked about being like black women or whatever, like, or more likely to pass in terms of like child birth because if they don't have somebody that looks like them in terms of their doctor. And so we talked about some of those types of things where what came about is the fact that it's probably harder for people to really sympathize with you that don't look like you. So they don't really understand how to like deal with your illness or deal with some of the things that you're going through. And so it's like us as black women or even just as black men, we may go in somewhere and it's like we're strong, right? And so you may
Mm,
not show the pain on your face. And so because you don't show the pain on your face, people feel like you're fine. And
mm.
so you leave and then it ends up getting worse. And so it's like you have to be able to know how to deal with people and how to get past that front persona that somebody may put on to really get through to understand what the true issue is. And so those were some of the conversations that we had on the podcast. So definitely go and check that out.
Absolutely silence. Okay, I'm rattle all the question. Have you considered being approached about doing a TED talk to move forward with educating people about sickle cell?
Um, so that's what I always tell people. I'm like, I'm not a public speaker. So like even when you wanted to do this live, I was like, I like to do pre-recorded stuff. So, but
Oh,
no, that's something I would be open to because I'm like, I'm really trying to be more open in terms of being out there to be a voice to have that platform to talk and like spread awareness about stuff. So I would definitely be interested in doing a TED talk. So if y'all know anybody that wants to do it, send them over, and I'm definitely open and willing to do it. So you got to
fantastic.
push past your fear, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And thank you for pushing past your fear here. Question: how are you today these days? When was your last pain crisis, and how do you deal with the pain today?
My last pain crisis where I was in the hospital was in January. And so I was actually back in Houston. I was in the hospital probably for about 2 weeks. I was so sad because I was supposed to go to I was supposed to go to Mexico for my cousin's 40th birthday, and I had to miss the trip because I was in the hospital. But that was the last time that I had a severe crisis where I was in the hospital. Like I said, I try to do what I can to mitigate and manage it at home as much as possible. Like I try to limit my goings to the hospital. When I was younger, another thing that people don't understand, a lot of people with sickle cell, they get pneumonia a lot. So that's a big issue with people with sickle cell disease, is pneumonia and acute chest syndrome. And so those were used to be the issues that I would have as a child growing up. And that goes back to the whole thing of how infection is one of the things that can cause a pain
Mm.
crisis. And so that's why pneumonia is one of the big things. But growing up or whatever, like I used to be in the hospital a little bit more, but as I've gotten older and I better understand my body and things, I probably go to the hospital probably like once a year. But this most recent time, I've probably been like 3 times since 2018. Yeah, so yeah, I've probably been like 3 times each year since 2018. So it's it's good in terms of like my health and like the way that I am, but it's like I try my best to do what I can at home without having to like go there. But my big thing is like trying to mitigate stress because I know sometimes I put a lot on myself and I'm like going. So just finding that time
Mm.
for self-care. And so through finding that time for self-care, that helps to try to mitigate some of the crises.
Wow. What do you do for self-care, Jama? And you
I
got to
like
get your question. What do you do?
I like to get massages, so I'll go
Yeah.
get a massage. Just taking time for myself, so like disconnecting, so
Yeah.
that I can reconnect. My friends will try to tell you like, don't listen to Jama. She's not doing self care. She tries to do everything by herself. Like she's always going. But I would say like that's what I do is just like taking the time, mainly like massages and stuff. Because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really been good in terms of trying to like do my self-care because I do have a lot on my plate, but just knowing how to like manage my time effectively is like one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Wow. If you were to talk to somebody, if somebody in front of you who have sickle cell, what would you say to them?
Um, it goes back to what I said about your strength, right? Don't look at it as being a weakness. Look at it as your strength. Look at what you've been able to surpass and what you've been able to push through despite, in spite of. And so I would just tell them to just use that as a way for them to continue to persevere and to grow, and that they don't need to allow that illness to define who they are or define their journey. And so it's
Yeah.
like just knowing to create your own path and using that to tell your story.
Yeah. I don't know about anybody. This has been the most informative moment for me. I don't know about anybody else. And I appreciate you taking the time. Tell them how they can follow you on social media, Twitter. What's your platform?
Yeah, so you can find me. So my personal is iJazz, IJAZEE. You can find me on Instagram there. You can find me at the Ruby Ball. So the THE Ruby RUBYBALL on Instagram, and then you can also find me on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter, same thing, the Ruby Ball, but I don't really use Twitter. I need to get better at that. And then I don't really use Facebook either. So the best place to find us is on IG.
All right, question. Considering COVID-19, how would you suggest people with sickle cell mitigate the stress around going to the hospital?
Again, like what I would say is like I get everything in terms of like everything happening with COVID. But if it gets to the point where you have to go to hospital, like go to the hospital, right?
Mhm.
Don't try to like hold it back as much you can. Like you can try to again stay hydrated, do as many of the things that you can try to do. Like for example, like I said, with me, instead of going to the hospital, I'll go to my hematologist to go get hydration because that's one of the things you need fluid, right? And so with going to I might take my pain medicine at the house and then go get additional fluids at my hematologist office or whatever because they actually have the hydration treatments there. So that might be something to talk to your hematologist about to see if they have any of those options for you. If they feel that it's so bad to where you have to go to the hospital, they'll probably direct you to go to the hospital. But if it's something to mitigate and try to keep you from having to go there, then they should be able to provide you the option of doing out treatment in terms of hydration. And I know now, like, hydration has become a big thing. So I know there's a lot of outpatient centers that do IV hydrations.
Yeah. Do you get IV hydration?
Yes. So I do that. Like, I probably do it like once a year or twice a year, just to like help in terms of like keeping my energy and then making sure that I'm staying hydrated and stuff. So that's something that I'll do. So depending. So if I ever feel like extremely drained or like fatigued and tired to where it's like I feel like it might cause me to end up becoming a little more stressed than usual, and then also because of the whole dehydration thing, then I'll go and get a hydration treatment just to try to get in front of it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Anybody else? Last question. Last question. I want you guys to go to the Ruby Ball. Make sure you follow her. Make sure you push it out to Houston if you're in Houston. Let's continue this conversation. Ijami, is there a support group for people with sickle cell? Is there a support group where
There's
people come in and talk and yeah?
Yeah, so I know Nova Rise, they were doing something. I forgot what the name of the specific group that they had, but if you go if you go to the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, there's different things that they have in terms of resources that can help you. I know, like, kids, they have like sickle cell camp. My friend Ebony that passed away, she used to go to sickle cell camp when she was growing up, and so it's like so you can meet other kids like you. Because like I
Yeah,
told you, I didn't
I've
have
heard of that.
anybody
Yeah,
that I knew like me growing up. So it was different because I didn't know anybody literally outside of my immediate family that had sickle cell, because people don't talk about it, right? And so it
yeah,
wasn't until I grew up and I met Ebony, and like we didn't go to the same college, but we had mutual friends that went to, that went to school with her. So that's how we ended up meeting. So like that was like ended up being my support. So she would call me when she was in hospital. She needed somebody to talk to about it because like we had similar things that were happening on within our lives. So I would say, as like, probably do the sickle cell camps for your children so that they can see that they're not alone. Being able to, like, if you do have sickle cell, being more open about it so people can see like there's not necessarily a face to sickle cell, like it doesn't change who you are or what you're capable of doing or the work that you're able to present. So if we're able to show more of a positive side of the issue, I feel that people will be more apt to be more open about it.
oh, this is a great idea. Somebody said you need to have a virtual sickle cell camp. I know about the camp because my friend Bishop O'Neill
Yeah.
told me about the camp, but because of COVID-19, the camp is not open. But
Yeah,
virtual sickle cell camp.
that would be great. No,
Oh
yeah,
my
I'll definitely
goodness.
share those suggestions. And then, so same thing, like, so that we can continue doing this work and continue moving forward. If you could go to the rubyball.org and donate so that we can continue to like really push forward the agenda and really do the things that we need to do in order to make a difference in the community, that would be great. So if you go on the rubyball.org and click the donate button and donate, that would be amazing. That would definitely help us with pushing forward the agenda. And then also, if you're in the Houston area, go sign up to be a part of the blood drive. That would be great. And if you're not, just share it. So just share what you can in order to be able to help bring awareness.
Absolutely. Is your somebody said is your podcast on Spotify?
Yes, we're on Spotify and Apple Music, and then we also are on YouTube. So, like, if you want to see my face, I don't know if you do, but me and Christina will also have it on YouTube. And so on YouTube, we're the Ruby Ball on YouTube as well. So go the Ruby Ball Sickle Cell Gala. I think that's the YouTube name, but you should be able to find them on there as well.
Yep. Well, listen, on behalf of my organization, we're going to be donating $1,000 to the Ruby Ball.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jazz. That's
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody who wants to match it with me, anybody wants to go, but I'm donating $1,000 on behalf of Cameron, because he made it to 5. They said that he wasn't supposed to, and he's an
Amen.
amazing young man, and I can't wait for you to meet him after COVID.
Definitely.
You'll meet him because you're in the DMV, but he's a brilliant young man. And so I want to thank you so very much for fighting your fear, coming on and doing this live. And so thank you so very much. We're going to follow you, support you. Anything that you need for us to help you with from our church, our ministry, anything like that. And when you get ready to do your virtual camp or your virtual Ruby Fall, we're here and we will support it in whatever
Awesome.
we need.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Dr. Jazz. I appreciate it. And thank you all who tuned in. And like I said, just continue to spread the word. Just even you being here today is a start in order to try to like really get things out there and get things moving. So greatly appreciate you all and God bless you and everything that you do.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, wow, that was another amazing time. I hope everybody gained some information, some powerful information. Again, let's not just be hearers, but let's be doers. So go on the Ruby Ball. Make sure you connect with her, follow that organization, support it financially. If you want to match minds, and everybody know I'm a person of integrity. If you want to shoot it to me, I'll shoot it to her. But I just feel like we need to bring more awareness to it. Like I told you guys, I didn't know anything about sickle cell. I never heard of it. And the way Cam carries it, I'm so grateful that God has given me the opportunity to watch him function gracefully. Don't forget to get the book. I can't wait to get that book. Oh my, Super Cell, Cam, you've got super cells, super cells. And so thank you. I see all of the amazing feet, so insightful, perfect for sickle cell. Oh, great, great. All right, guys. Any question for me before we leave out of here? You're welcome. I see all of y'all. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And don't forget, if you know somebody in Houston, you share it with them so they can go. Please reshare this video, post it. Let's get Jamaica. I see you. Jamaica, I see. Let's repost it. Let's repost it, and let's bring awareness and awareness more to the sickle cell and what's happening. Okay, everybody. God bless you all. See you guys on next Friday. Be safe this weekend. Hey, listen, this Sunday you can join me for church at 9 o'clock. You can register on our website, victorygracecenter.org. Oh, yeah, one love. That's Bamali all day. One love. Okay, thank you all so very much. God bless you all.